Hello, Realtors. Welcome to your SCR update number 354. As always, I'm your host, Nick Kremydas, Chief Executive Officer. I'm joined today by SCR General Counsel, Byron King. Byron, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Nick.
It is March 17th. Happy St. Patty's Day. Byron, did you find any gold treasure this morning?
Had some Lucky Charms for breakfast.
I found some gold. It was, I call it Carolina gold. My car was covered in pollen this morning. And those of you that suffer from those allergies, you'll be in my thoughts. It looks pretty thick and heavy out there this year. We have got a number of different topics to talk about today, and I'm excited to share a few thoughts with you and go over some of these updates. I'll try to be quick and address some of these with you here this morning. Is it still morning, Mike? No, we're running late. It is Monday afternoon. So let's get started. You know, there were a lot of sports on TV this weekend. I love F1 racing. The first race of the year was in Australia, and you watch those race car drivers that have absolutely just lightning quick reflexes, and the training, the preparation they do in advance of all of these races, and every week they're on a different track. They've got to learn a different layout. But what kind of stuck with me as I watched some of the practice rounds and qualifying is just the sheer preparation. And it led me to a metaphor as I'm thinking about how our members prepare for their business and their practices, right? Being the absolute best you can be requires you to invest in yourself. We've been hosting a number of designation certification courses, ABR, SRS. Mike, if you can throw the link into the comments for the courses. South Carolina Realtors last year earned more designations and certifications than any other state in the country. That's not on a per member ratio or anything, but more than any other state. South Carolina has about 30,000 Realtor members, and we were competing against states like Florida and California that have six-figure level of memberships, over 100,000. So I'm pretty proud to say that not only were our members investing in their professionalism, but they were investing in themselves in order to get ahead of the curve on all of the different practice changes that we saw across the country last year. You know, the other interesting sports news, Byron, were, you know, the Gamecocks, the men's basketball team. I was shocked to learn that they actually had a chance to be invited to the NIT tournament. You know, with a 12-20 record, there was no way they were going dancing this year. But I was shocked, and actually they did get an invitation, right? And the Gamecocks turned that invitation down. The coach, I think, said that they had some players maybe that weren't up to speed or maybe not even participating for that round, and they decided not to accept the invitation, which also made me start thinking about how that impacts members, kind of a metaphor to competency in your profession, right? Byron, what are some of the things that we've seen on competency that come up on the legal hotline?
Yeah, so we've got Article 11. That's our competency article, the Code of Ethics. And we've got some videos coming out. Mike Christ, Lisa Alexander, John Smith videotaped it. So on the hotline, what I tell them is, you know, if you're not qualified, something, you know, talk to your broker, because there's different things: residential, commercial, manufactured housing, property management. Talk to your broker. Make sure your brokerage handles that. If you haven't done it before, everybody's got to learn, right? The first time, even the most seasoned agent had a first deal. Either learn as fast as you can, maybe get one of your colleagues to help you as you learn on the job. And the Code of Ethics requires you to disclose, hey, I haven't done this before, or you could refer it for money.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the Gamecocks had the opportunity to go to the NIT. They chose not to. And that made me think of situations where A real estate licensee, a realtor holds a South Carolina real estate license, which allows you to do practice real estate all across South Carolina, right? But we all know, that each market is rather unique, and knowing a coastal property versus a lakefront property versus a horse farm or a small ranch, those are all different types of property that require local expertise, local knowledge, and just because you can sell real estate all across the state doesn't necessarily mean you should. And I think that's the lesson I took away from the Gamecocks this weekend. While they certainly would have had the worst losing record of any team ever to play in the NIT, I'm sure that had nothing to do with their rejection of the invite. But, they looked at it and said, we're not in a place to be able to play competitive ball, and we're not going to go there because we don't want to basically be incompetent. Now, all of my Clemson friends out there, don't take this as an opportunity to throw jabs. I think the Gamecocks, I can't even say this with a straight face. I think the Gamecocks showed real leadership in this area. Now, I think the Tigers are going dancing, right? Is that your understanding, Byron?
Yeah, definitely. And the women Gamecocks going to their.
That's right. The Lady Gamecocks are top seed in their ranking, right? Byron may or may not be in charge of the office bracket pool, but we'll leave that offline for another discussion. Let's change gears a little bit. Number one, I want to take this opportunity to all right, I got to explain something to y'all. So Mike, our media director, our technology expert, if you've never seen the SCR studio, maybe, Mike, we do an episode one time from behind the camera to show everybody the setup we have here. But the cameras have lights on them, right? We have 3 cameras in the studio, and the light on the camera designates whether the camera is on. Red means that the camera is live. Green means that the camera is on standby. I have written this down, and I cannot get it through my head. In my mind, green means the camera is on. And so if you've seen me looking in the wrong direction more than once, that's the explanation for it. But I'm trying to figure this out. Mike's going to beat it into me before the end of the program here. But I wanted to take a minute to, on behalf of SCR, on behalf of the entire real estate industry in South Carolina, to thank Realtor Candace Pratt from Charleston. Realtor Candace Pratt has served the last few terms on the South Carolina Real Estate Commission, a real leader in the Charleston area, and has given and volunteered her time to serve on the South Carolina Real Estate Commission. Her term recently expired, and we wanted to thank her for her service and her leadership to help, number one, protect consumers in South Carolina, and also addressing the problems, addressing the bad apples in the industry, ensuring the professionalism of the industry. So Realtor Pratt, Commissioner Pratt, thank you for your service and your leadership. And with that, we have a new commissioner that was elected by the Charleston Congressional Delegation just last week to replace Commissioner Pratt. So let's congratulate Realtor I'm sorry, Daniel. These cameras are messing me up. Let's congratulate Realtor Daniel Moskowitz from the Hilton Head Area Association of Realtors, who was elected last week and will be serving as the District 1 Commissioner for the next 4 years. He was appointed to a 4-year term. Daniel has served as past president of the Hilton Head Area Realtors, and has held many roles at the state and national associations. We're excited to be working with Daniel, and we wish him all the best in his service, and thank him for volunteering and stepping up into this role. The district is primarily based in the Charleston area. And it's been a while since there was a realtor from Hilton Head that has held that commission seat. I believe that was Sarah Takis was the last Hilton Head realtor to hold that position, who's still very active there in that market. So congratulations, Daniel. We look forward to working with you in your new role, and we know you'll do some good things with your service at the commission. Now, Byron, you know, one of the things that we just haven't talked a lot about as an association, but has been the subject of many articles on Inman News, Risk Media, realestatenews.com, is the topic of clear cooperation. And clear cooperation is a local MLS rule, right? That when that requires brokers, once they publicly market a listing, to have it placed in the MLS generally within 48 hours. And there's been a lot of back and forth on the topic. Have you heard, have there been a lot of questions coming in on the legal hotline on the issue?
Yeah, definitely. Our CFO, Alan Lightly, compiles our legal hotline numbers each month, and it's always the top 10, I would say. Because Article 1 requires you to look after your seller's best interest. So you'd have to have a discussion with your seller, because some sellers, it might be good for them, you know, highest and best, full exposure to market, MLS, IDX data feeds. Others, maybe they're famous or they're a CEO and there's a big sale coming on, they're moving. Maybe they want to keep the sale private and want to do an office exclusive. So that's certainly seller's choice.
Yeah, and to be clear, let's understand that the Clear Cooperation Rule, the CCP, is a MLS rule, right? And SCR, your state association, has no rulemaking authority, no jurisdiction over any MLS in our state or elsewhere. So all we can do is kind of comment on it. We can't really influence that decision. That model policy was created by NAR a few years ago, and we know that NAR has announced even just recently that this is one of their top topics to address in the coming weeks. So I expect some clarification, modification from NAR on this topic, and I think Byron hit it on the head. The disparity, the difference, the two opposing sides, I guess, the best way to put it. One is, you know, you want that property exposed as broadly as possible on the marketplace. That way you avoid possible fair housing issues and such. And then on the other hand, you've got sellers who are making a legal or legitimate request to keep that property off market. And so the question is, you know, can this policy address both of these seemingly opposite viewpoints? Will NAR address it? I believe that NAR will address this in the coming weeks, and we'll have some clarity going forward. NAR is publicly said, Nakia Wright, our new CEO at the National Association of Realtors, has publicly said they want to address all of these future possible litigation pain points. And this is at the top of their list. The National Realtor legislative meetings are coming up in a few months in Washington, D.C., and I expect recommendations and updates to be made in advance of those meetings. So stay tuned, Realtors. There'll be some upcoming changes, I'm sure, to that policy. Speaking of policy and guidelines, we've also recently updated some agreements, some forms here at SCR. And we're super excited to get these out to you. In the coming weeks, we will first roll these out to our broker community so that you have them in your hands with an understanding of the changes before they're rolled out to all of the agents across the state. And the forms I'm talking about, Byron, are?
We got our compensation agreements. The members have asked for it, and the Forms Committee and leadership have delivered. We're going to have one compensation agreement for sellers, one for listing brokers. So our old one was basically before the settlement. It could be used in all these different situations, so it was hard to figure out. This will make it easier for the members, and then our buyer agency forms.
Yeah, so the new comp agreements are split into two. One is a broker-to-broker compensation agreement, and the other is a seller-to-buyer agent compensation agreement. The forms are shorter, less legalese, easier to understand, easier to explain. And the buyer agency agreement is significantly shorter. Again, less legalese, easier to understand, easier to explain. And so I think you'll like these changes. Look for them in the coming weeks. We'll have some exact dates. I know Mike and Austin and the team are working on some training videos, but we will roll these out, as I said, to the broker community first, so that you can have your eyes on them before your agents start asking you questions about them, right? We want you to be prepared. So with that, Mike, I don't think I have any other updates. I'm looking at my notes here. I will, one little side note here, everyone. I know realtors, I know all of you love technology and use technology to make your business more efficient. I did something for the first time today. I took a long drive. I had a loaner car today. I had my car in for service, and I was given an electric vehicle to drive to work today. First time I've driven an electric vehicle for any serious amount of time. And I have to tell you that even before I got into the car, I started worrying about the range. I learned what range anxiety is. And I'm really worried that I won't have enough juice in that battery to get me back home. So if y'all know where any EV stops are around the Camden area, please let me know. I may be having to stop there this afternoon. I think once the technology gets into the 600, 1,000 mile range, maybe I can relax a little bit. But right now, I don't think it's quite there yet for me. Well, let me close, Mike, with an Irish blessing today as we wrap up our St. Paddy's Day episode here. May love and laughter light your days and warm your heart and home. Realtors, stay safe, stay realtor strong, and we'll be back in touch again with you very soon. Take care, everyone.